Hey y'all, grown black folks talk. Back out on the climb. Beautiful day if you like calm scenes of green and silver and white. It's going to rain a lot in the next week and a half, so this may be the only video you see from outside, but I wanted to come back outside to talk about a subject that we want to have the beauty of nature to help us work with. Get into healthier lanes for 2023 before you end up like Tory Lanez, or on the opposite side of that, obviously. One of the great privileges of the end of 2022 has been that I have been able to get into some great conversations with a lot of people and catch up on a lot of stuff I would not ordinarily know about. I don't follow hip-hop, so of course I know who Megan Thee Stallion is, but I never heard of Tory Lanez before the end of this case. And I only know about this case because people have been talking about it. I literally had to Google to get caught up toward the end. I talked to a black male friend of mine about this. I figured I would find out where his head is at afterwards. And of course, I knew off the back of my head, though, that he didn't keep up either. There are many millions of us who are out here not referring black life to hip-hop life, believe it or not. And so he also said, well, I didn't know about it until I had to catch up in the last couple days. I live in San Francisco. He lives in Atlanta. Same city, just different variation on the number of black people. But in terms of anything goes. But again, people living a more quiet, peaceful, productive life don't necessarily keep up with all this. But he said something very interesting to me. He said, seems to me that the verdict was just from what I'm able to understand. He said, all these people talking about why didn't Megan do this and do that. He said, people do not understand that when you've been through something like that, you blame yourself. And the shame makes it very difficult to be able to assess responsibility for that other person. Now, without getting into any of his personal details, let's just say this man knows what it is to be violently abused. He said something else about that was very revealing afterwards, because again, I'm talking to a man. He said, the other thing about this is why I have to continue to do my work, because if I let myself not do that work, I could be incredibly violent. And he said, the thing you have to understand is the only place black men in this society are allowed to be violent is sexually violent. Now, he didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, because if you think about it, think about the terms that many black men, again, there's many millions of us out here who don't follow hip-hop culture, so are getting our cues from other places, but about the terms that black men use and black women allow, they correspond with the terms that people in Anglo-Saxon societies use for women who are allowed to be victims of male violence. Whores and female dogs. People will shoot a dog in a second. And, of course, a whore is there to be used. Well, look at how the terms correspond in popular culture that black men use to describe black women. Look at the terms that black men use to describe sex with black women. And you see that, like I said, my friend didn't tell me anything I didn't already know because I actually pay attention. But the fact that he was willing to be open about it and confirm, and I didn't have to, I'm a professional journalist. If I want to know something that you know, I can get it from you. I didn't have to do that. He is my friend because we can have honest conversations about stuff that's going on as we both play catch up. But to have heard him say these things, like openly to me, in the wake of this verdict, also showed me something else. He said, when you have had things taken from you, the most natural thing to do is to then go take them from someone else, which is why I have to continue doing my work. And I thought to myself, this is why we need to change the conversation in 2023. Because all of this externalization that many of us are doing is leading us into those situations of either believing we can't do better because everything around us confirms our miserable condition, or leading us to believe that we now have the right and the necessity to take it out on someone else. Which is to say, this is a way to describe the reasons for every murder-suicide that have ever been committed. Because you have both the internalization of the fact that there's no point to life, and you have the externalization of it being everyone else's fault. If you split that into two people, you get Tory Lanez, and if he had been even a little more evil, Megan Thee Stallion. How do we avoid this? The battle starts in the mind. As I said, I really appreciate the conversations I've been having in the last half of 2022, because I made the decision in the first half of 2022 to exit myself from spaces where drama is going to be encouraged, and when I have to waste my time to attempt to make a good, honorable situation with people who are just not ready for that yet. Trauma and drama is addictive, because you begin to believe that that's the only environment that you can really operate in. That's your natural environment. You really can begin to believe that because you don't believe that you are worth any more. I shared with you, I watched a documentary about Michael Jordan that I'm going to share with another black male friend of mine later this week. To think a man of his talent, he was interviewed when he made 50, and the first thing he said was, "I never thought I'd live to see it." If you are as transcendent a talent as Michael Jordan, and this is the first thing you think to say, this would pretty much mean that you're convinced that life doesn't offer you much of anything. Now, let's say you were slightly less talented than Michael Jordan. Well, that's pretty much everybody in the world. Now, look, y'all, I'm sitting by a basketball court. I am not trying to have Mr. Jordan at 60 years old next year talk about, you put these people on my level. I took that personal. Look, I don't need those problems in my life. I'm not trying to get beat up in one-on-one. No. So we must confess that almost everyone else in the world is slightly less talented than Michael Jordan in his particular field. But for him to have said that, and then I thought about the rest of us are just regular people. Most of the rest of us anyway. I mean, but put a pin there though, because everyone is exceptional when what they're gifted in, because it's another conversation I want to close and talk about. But when people are in that level of mental despair, it's easy for us to stay stuck in drama and trauma because we think we can't get any further. That's going to be our lot. The battle begins in the mind. I talked to her sister this weekend. And the talent that this woman has and her children have, y'all gonna hear more about it because I got to post up some other things that I got from some very talented black sisters this week, but I'm looking forward to posting up some of her things because the talent this woman has in her hands and in her eyes, I was just kind of like, she's about to get me to get it back on here and show y'all my piano skills with these hands of mine. My old handle used to be hymnody hands, and I have videos with thousands of views for 10 years ago of me just playing popular hymns and letting people watch me do this. Just the hands. Thousands of views on those, some of those. But I didn't have self-confidence then. There was a lot of other stuff going on. I was being overutilized by the community at that time. So I didn't continue. That was a mistake. I'd have my 1,000. I'd be monetized, but I would have a very different audience. God does all things well, even when we don't know what we're doing. But I might start working some of that content in next year. We'll see. But the point I'm making is she has this amazing gift. And she also has the determination that her family, we're not going to do this. I'm not losing my sons to the foolishness. I'm going to take what I have and I'm going to make it work. And the conversation was great because I was able to talk to her about things that I see artists of her ability doing in, just generally. And this is the thing, and I'm going to link to this video about beacon builders. It behooves us to be learning about every opportunity there is to do good and legal work. I know about more opportunities that I can personally get involved in now because I stay learning. I stay watching something on YouTube. I stay watching people on Facebook. I stay out here talking to folk and learning. I stay doing that. Not because it's all going to work for me, but because I know I want to connect someone else. There is too much opportunity out here. I learned that at about 26 years old. There's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And even though Mr. Kiyosaki has sort of declined a little bit in his viewpoints on some things since then, he said something there that he said his rich dad taught him. He said, if you apply yourself to understanding how money and capital really work, eventually you will live in a world of too much opportunity. And at 26 years old, I didn't understand that, but I did know the Spirit was able to inform me, you are hearing the truth. And this sort of began my process of learning that the universe is actually abundant. There's more than enough of everything. It's just finding a way to righteously step into that. And then, of course, I am a Christian. So seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things, the necessary things, will be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Psalm 84:12. The Lord is a sun and shield. The Lord will give grace and glory. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly. A little bit later, I realized that even the Bible teaches abundance. I have come that they might have life and they might have it more abundantly. Jesus Christ. But he did set down conditions. Believing on him, number one. I got to put that out there because, like y'all know, I got to put in my shameless plug for Jesus Christ and his plan of salvation, which is believing on him. But he said more abundantly, which means that there is already some abundance in God's common grace available. And there's a lot of it out there. If you are listening to me on YouTube, you know what that means? That means there's nobody sitting over you saying that you can't. And if you can listen to me, you can go click on learning how you do anything you want to do in this world. I keep mentioning Black women making money. Shout out to Mocha Mommy today, too. It's like, I love your channel. I love yours, too, Mocha Mommy. Keep doing what you're doing. I might actually get to a sports team game next year, and I've started watching more sports and really kind of paying attention to the things that you're talking about and having different conversations with men who are into that sort of thing, just as I take my, as I'm out, I notice people's stickers and their cars. I met a Cal Berkeley college football fan, and this man had this car. I'm like, that's a nice car, man. That's a nice team you repping on that car. Watch that little man just light up. He's too young for me. But I'm like, okay, look at how young you are, and you have that to rep your team, okay? Mocha Mommy knows what she's talking about. But that's what I'm saying, y'all. I went all the way around the side to tell you, opportunity is everywhere to better your situation, but you have to choose to focus on it, to get into healthier lanes. Why am I in a lane where I can see this man's car? Because it's the only day this week that it's not raining, and you know what I'm out here doing? I'm taking care of my body. I got work to do, still. I look back at some of my older videos and pictures and know I'm not as big as I was, but I have work to do so that my knees and my foot, because of what I want to do later on in life, requires me to be in good condition, and I can be, but I gotta do my work. And because I'm in that healthy lane, that allows me to see what other people are telling me is the truth. It allows me to access a world full of opportunities. This is what I want for you in 2023. I don't want you to be so internalized because of the things that have happened to you that you can't do any better. And I don't want you to be so externalized that it's everybody else's fault that you don't do your work. It's like this friend I was talking to at the very beginning. If he doesn't do his work, he's going to become a predator. Now, this gentleman has the characteristics, 2 of 3 characteristics, and he will have the third if he does his work. That's Black men think Black women like. He should have no problem in this category at all. He has 2 of the 3 characteristics that they believe men are absolutely obsessed with. And like I said, he'll have the third if he continues going the way he's going. It's just going to take a little bit longer, but he'll be there. But he also knows that he also will be a predator. Just like a lot of the rest of the 666 crowd is. 6 feet tall, 6-figure money, 6-pack. He's actually self-aware that because of the trauma he's experienced, this is a possibility for him if he allows it to be. I don't know if men like Tory Lanez are aware that there's an option, that there was ever an option. And like I said, you can end up on either side. Because what happened there is a case where, it didn't develop the way it could have. But remember I said that this is what those are, that's the background of murder-suicide. Many people in our community are doing murder-suicide slowly. Megan Thee Stallion is alive. She didn't have to be. But she's alive. She got out to the other side because she decided to speak up for herself. She's been vindicated. Some of us are still wearing our purple. If you know, you know. She stood up for herself. She talked about how difficult it was and how she doesn't feel supported. A lot of her family members have gone on, and how this has dominated and destroyed her entire life. But she's gotten to the other side. In the middle of all this domination and destruction, she went back. All this destruction that happened in her personal life, she went out and got that degree, went on and finished her degree, and is moving on as a business person and is going to be able to continue to be in the industry. Meanwhile, Tory Lanez, look, there are people sitting up talking about he's only going to get 2.5 years or he's going to be out on appeal. Listen to me very carefully. How much time do you think it is good for you to be a prison slave as a man? Sentencing is January 27th. Even if he were to do a successful appeal, and I've looked at some lawyers analyzing this case, and it's like, nah, your chances on that are very small. You're going to go up to a conservative Supreme Court. Your chances on this are extremely difficult. But how long do you think it is good for a man to be a prison slave? Well, he might just get 2.5 years. It'll take him 2 years to get his appeal seen. So let's just say he serves 2.5 years. Do you think those are going to be good years for him? You in prison slavery, you have been returned to the status of a slave. Y'all read the 13th Amendment sometimes. He can see 22 years. Now, is that a tragedy? No, we don't need men out here damaging women because they can't get their way. We don't need that. He needs exactly whatever he's going to get. He should get. Derek Chauvin got 22 years. He should get more. He should have gotten more time than that for killing a black man. So we need to take black women's lives at least that seriously. He could have killed her. There's a big blood vessel in your foot. No less than, well, no, we're not going to go down the history road, but getting shot in the foot is extremely dangerous. It can kill you. He deserves what he's going to get. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand. But none of this was necessary. This happened because he took in too much of a toxic environment that says if you can't get your life together, go on and hurt a black woman. I need you to understand that is why this man is going to be a prison slave. And why this man is leaving a 6-year-old son who he didn't have sense enough to keep out of the court who's going to have that trauma. Meaning that in 15 years, he may... Do you know that if this child is not brought into a loving, caring environment, he may join his father in prison while his father is in prison? Because of the foolishness of this man and his family? I don't feel sorry for Tory Lanez. I do feel sorry for his son. I believe he has a daughter. I feel sorry for his children. I really do. But see, that's what happens when you're not about nothing. It ain't just going to be you that's hurt. It's going to be someone else. It's going to be people connected to you. And this is why I have stopped by the side of my walk to say, get into healthier lanes in life. It starts in the mind. Disconnect yourself. Well, my suggestion, because again, I'm not going into 2023. If you don't want to do this, fine. But my suggestion, my strong suggestion, would be that you disconnect yourself from feeding on trauma and trauma. That you use this very platform, YouTube, to learn how it is. You know you have a gift somewhere. Learn about how people are using it. What inspiration is out there. If you just start there, and do not recommend and unsubscribe from all the foolishness that other people are doing, and begin to fill your mind with what is possible. There's all kind of opportunities out here. And eventually you can get to the point where, yes, we need to know about things that are racist that are happening. We need to know about things that are happening in the black community that are dangerous to us. But how long do you want to continue to live in an environment? Darn near 1,500 black women will not see 2023. Darn near 6 times as many black men will not see that at black men's own hands. So that environment is dangerous for everybody. Is it necessary for you to be there? No. You too can get to a point where you live without reference to the foolishness. And where you have to play catch up, you can get there. My neighborhood was cracked out when I was born. You can get there. You know, there's a whole bunch of demographic and criminal law trends that are also taking place just like they were when I was a child. And black women just need to learn how to get out of the way and let things happen that need to happen. But the point is, it still starts up here. So for 2023, my strong suggestion is find a healthier lane. Find multiple healthier lanes to put your mind and your attention down. So you don't end up on the wrong end of being like a man who's going to see 2023 in prison. Or end up being the victim of men like that. All right, that was a lot. It's going to start raining out here, so I got to go. Y'all have a good day now. And if I don't see y'all again, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. And if I don't see you all again until January, happy New Year to you. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.